Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Wilson, thanks for being here today. I know this can't be easy for you. If you put this affair in context, what's happened with you, with all the other abuses, frankly, Mr. Chairman, that we've been investigating over the last 7 weeks, and I thank you for the diligence of your inquiry and thoroughness of your inquiry into a number of things that have occurred. It paints a picture of an administration of bullies, in my view, that thinks that in order to achieve whatever the ends they're seeking, any means can be justified, and that people can just be pushed around. We saw it when we had testimony of people in the White House who bullied the scientific community by altering testimony on global warming. We've seen it in terms of the investigations you've done, Mr. Chairman, with respect to the treatment of our civil service. And now we see it in the context of our intelligence community. And to me, what you've experienced is really the result of a syndrome that's developed in this administration, which reflects the arrogance of power run amok. I have just a couple of questions that I wanted to ask you in that vein. First of all, I gather you believe that the outing of your status, that the blowing of your covert status was as a result of some of the statements that your husband was making and the challenges that he was bringing. Is that right?
Yes, I believe that was one of the consequences.
Okay. But at the point that they were prepared to surrender your covert status to the public, I mean, what was to be gained by that? I mean, was it to apply further leverage? I mean, really, it was sort of after the fact at that point, right?
My thinking, Congressman, is that by continuing to assert falsely that I somehow suggested him or recommended him for this mission, it would undercut the credibility of what he was saying. Mm-hmm. And that's right. What I think is what happened, and it just got a little out of hand.
Yeah. It strikes me as petulant behavior on their part. Secondly, there's this suggestion being made that your status could have been divulged sort of accidentally. But you've described efforts, structural efforts, that are designed to make sure that this doesn't happen accidentally. And so, could you comment on that? I mean, it seems to me that in order for your status to have been disclosed, somebody had to want that to happen. In other words, the way things were set up, it's highly unlikely that your status would be disclosed by accident. It had to be as a result of an orchestrated effort that somebody wanted to put it out there. Can you just talk about sort of structurally whether that is the case?
I can't speak to intent, but I can speak to simply what the actions that we can observe, and that, again, they all knew that I worked in the CIA. They might not have known what my status was, but that alone, the fact that I worked at the CIA, should have put up a red flag that they acted in a much more protective way of my identity and true employer.
Okay. And then lastly, again, trying to get, because this is more than, it's more than a story about Valerie Plame Wilson and what happened to you, as devastating as it's been to your life over these last period of months. It's about our intelligence community, and you've spoken yourself to how this kind of conduct can affect the integrity and effectiveness of our intelligence apparatus. Can you comment on the chilling effect, if you will, what the message it sends to people, to those, for example, who would be sent on a mission to collect intelligence about a subject that the White House might already have a very strong opinion about? How would it affect the way that agent, the way that person would collect that information and get that information back up the chain?
Intelligence collection is certainly more of an art than a science, but if there is any taint of bias, then it undermines its usefulness. The primary customer of our intelligence is, of course, the President of the United States. And if the President of the United States thinks somehow or doesn't believe that his intelligence that he receives on his desk, he or she receives on his desk every morning, is free of ideology, politics, a certain viewpoint, how then can that president make the most important decisions of all about the security of our country? I mean, I do feel passionately about that. You have to get the politics out of our intelligence process.
I appreciate that. I appreciate the passion that you've brought to your job, and you represent thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that go to work and try to make a difference for this country, and I think are being bullied by this administration. You won't get the apology from them that you deserve, but I want you to know that everyone here appreciates your service. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you, Mr.